Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This one's wife. Nobody shall wield Mummy's name but me! Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Back in 1981, a film was released called Excalibur. It was co-written, directed and produced by John Boorman, and it retold the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It was basically revolved around the Arthurian romance Le Morte d'Arthur by Thomas Malory. It's a fantastic film that I remember seeing years later, and I've watched it many times. Indeed, I still own a copy of it, which I will go and watch from time to time. Nigel Terry's Arthur. Nicole Williamson puts in a fantastic performance as Merlin. Nicholas Clay is Lancelot. Sherry Lungi is Guinevere. Helen Mirren, looking very foxy and sexy, as Morgana. Liam Neeson is in it. He's Gawain. And that's where he ended up, I think, meeting Helen Mirren, and the two of them entered into a relationship together. Patrick Stewart is in it, yes, old Jean-Luc Picard. He's Leon de Grance. And even Clive Swift, who played the downtrodden Richard in Keeping Up Appearances, as he was the husband of Hyacinth Bouquet. He's in it as well, along with Gabrielle Byrne, who was Uther Pendragon. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, yes, I've watched that film, HG. It was very good, very enjoyable. The visuals are fantastic, and the retelling of the tale is well done. But what's that got to do with Harry? Well, there's one particular part in the film where Uther Pendragon, the king at the time, is ambushed, principally because he's been biffing a duke's missus, and he utilised Merlin's sorcery to do that. He went and slipped a crippler to Igraine, and the duke is nonplussed about this, and his troops basically later seek revenge on Uther. So they ambush him whilst he's riding through the countryside near a swamp, and there then follows a rather good fight, and the way that Uther Pendragon is wounded, and then he crawls away as the other Dark Knights are trying to pursue him. And he's wielding Excalibur, which was provided to him by the Lady in the Lake as a consequence of the prophecy that was foretold by Merlin. And being the type of selfish individual that he is, Uther Pendragon decides that nobody's going to get hold of Excalibur. He knows he's dying. So he wields Excalibur and he thrusts it into the stone, which becomes the legend of the sword in the stone, and shouts, "Nobody shall wield Excalibur but me!" And that's his last act, as he thrusts the stone into the sword and he dies. Later, Arthur, being the offspring, is able to retrieve the sword because he is part of Uther Pendragon. But it's a great moment in the film, and it put me in mind, or rather the film was put into my mind, when I read about Harry's latest reaction to the Sentebale shenanigans, that caused me to think that old Fantapubes would be there having a baby tantrum, stamping his feet as he shouts out that nobody can invoke the memory of Mummy but me. Nobody can use her name but me. And it made me think of that moment from Excalibur. The reason being, as reported by India McTaggart from the Daily Telegraph, is that the chairman of the Duke of Sussex's former charity has been accused of acting in the poorest possible taste over a reference to his late mother. Now, as you know, earlier this year, the Sentebale scandal flared up, whereby Dr. Sophie Chandauka claimed that there had been bullying and misogyny and misogynoir. This resulted in Harry as patron and a number of trustees resigning. The Charity Commission undertook an investigation. Their report was published yesterday. Both sides are trying to claim some kind of victory out of it. On the Harry side, it's to suggest that he's been exonerated of bullying and being involved in a toxic environment. Others counter that by suggesting it wasn't the remit of the Charity Commission to make a determination. It's not an arbiter of fact. It's more to do with governance, and it wasn't there to determine whether somebody had been engaging in bullying, but it did say that the chaotic environment that existed could cause someone to believe that that was what was taking place. It also didn't escalate it to a statutory inquiry, with the consequential impact that Dr. Sophie Chandauka remains in situ. Harry's supporters claim that she's the bad egg, that she was the one that spunked £500,000 on a consultant when she ought not to have done, and that she has been acting in a high-handed fashion. Those who are detractors of Harry and this one's wife point to the fact that the Charity Commission didn't determine that it was necessary to elevate matters to a statutory inquiry, allowing Sophie Chandauka to stay in place with her trustees, and that's a defeat for Harry because it means he won't get back into his charity. Thus, the spat rumbles on, and Sophie Chandauka vowed to honour the founding mission of the charity Sentebale in memory of Diana, Princess of Wales. After the Charity Commission ruled on Wednesday she could stay in post following a clash which forced the Duke and other trustees to resign. Allies of Prince Harry, who co-founded Sentebale in 2006, condemned her actions, saying his life's work had been destroyed by her hostile takeover of the charity, which they said had been her intention from the start. The report then goes into what I've told you about the Charity Commission's findings. Miss Chandauka, following the watchdog's ruling, released a statement whereby she said, "Despite the recent turbulence, we will always be inspired by the vision of our founders, Prince Harry and Prince Sisio, who established Sentebale in memory of their precious mothers, Princess Diana and Queen Mamahato." That seems fair enough to my mind. Does it not to you? That she's explaining, we are going to continue the vision that was established by the founders. She didn't turn around and say, they fucked it up, so we're going in a different direction. She was gracious enough to state, we're going to continue their vision, even though they may no longer be involved. It might be the case that that's just facade management on her part, or it might be a genuine declaration and showing good grace. We haven't made a determination as to what Sophie Chandauka is, but the fact remains she has made mention of them, and also she stated a fact. The two of them established Sentebale in memory of their mothers. She's not made that up. She hasn't embellished with that. She hasn't used it for the purposes of eliciting sympathy. She hasn't described them in unflattering tones. She simply stated a fact. These two people founded Sentebale. They did so because of the memory of their mothers. That's straightforward. And yet, the response that comes from Prince Harry is that for Sophie Chandauka to have invoked Princess Diana's memory in her own defence was in the poorest possible taste. She's got what she wants, which is control of the charity, but unfortunately the people who suffer most out of all of this are the children of Lesotho and Botswana. Prince Harry is said to be emotionally devastated and drained after losing the battle for control of the charity, which he has championed for the last 19 years. The most devastating thing for Prince Harry in all of this is that his life's work and all the money he was able to pump into Lesotho and Botswana through his work has gone down in flames, the source added. She's allowing it to go down in flames because of her own pride and hubris. Harry has, for the last 19 years, established this charity from nothing. Accordingly, the response that has come from Harry is, you're not allowed to use my mum's name. And it's a disgrace that you've done so. Because I'm the only person that's allowed to use her name. I'm the only person to keep banging on about what happened to me. Yes, we all understand that it was devastating for Harry to lose his mother in such public and tragic circumstances, but there has been a repeated reliance upon her, and her ghost in effect, by him and this one's wife, for differing reasons. We don't hear William, who was also affected by the loss of his mother in tragic and public circumstances, behaving in a similar way. And for now, to come out with this statement to suggest you're not allowed to use my mother's name or to Will Smith it. Keep my mother's name out of your goddamn mouth. Shows a petulant response. The statement was simple facts. It was not derogatory, it was not provocative. And for Harry to respond in such terms, demonstrating once again that he is a petulant man-child, basically saying, no one's allowed to use my mummy's name but me. I'm the only one that's allowed to wield it. I'm now going to go into the garden to eat worms. Demonstrates that, again, he's behaving like a knobhead. The fact is, he seems to believe, and no doubt encouraged by this one's wife as a consequence of her Diana duplication, which is done to assert control over Harry and exploit his vulnerability, that he is somehow special in relation to the loss that he has suffered. That he shows no consideration for his brother's position as he continues to utilise his mother, talking about how it's affected him, talking about the impact that it's had, and now, in a churlish and petulant manner, saying nobody else is allowed to talk about her other than me. It demonstrates what a sore loser he has been in relation to this Sentebale debacle. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.